Welcome to Retro.
I didn't know you started. I wanted to clear my throat for the start.
Welcome to Retrograde, the show where we choose the yellow pill. This is episode 40, and today we're going to be discussing the arcade title Pac-Man. My name is Jack Marsh. I'm joined by Anthony Hobday.
Hello.
This is Anne Fisher.
Hi.
I'm James McFadden.
All right.
Woo! Yeah, episode 40 as well. Cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's a nice round number.
Finally in
That's a
double
nice
digits.
Milestone.
Only comes around once. You know.
Yeah. Once every 2 weeks.
It's good to see you all. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
As you can tell by the new decor, I've moved house. That's my little
Wait,
banter
what?
for this week.
This isn't the same flat?
It's
No.
essentially the same flat.
It is essentially
guys,
because
don't
I've moved
worry.
down a floor.
Yes. You've gone down in the world.
He's been demoted.
I'm
But
downstairs.
in a weird way, you've also upgraded.
The listeners were wondering
Mark.
what was up with the new decor.
Hmm?
The listeners were wondering what was up with the new decor.
Yeah, they look-
Yeah.
I heard they mentioned
they're
that
in the-
because
they're
this
in
is
their-
weird.
They're in their
Yeah.
cars looking around going, no, it's not. It's the same place.
The listeners can't identify with this, but I do love those curtains.
Oh, I've been sitting here thinking how much I like those curtains. They're
They
really
are
nice.
really nice.
They're like
Red-
my mum's curtains, but the flowers are bigger.
I
No,
also
well,
really like the fireplace.
I should clarify
The
that-
checkerboard design is really cool.
such a boring story, but yeah, my tenancy was up. Next door neighbours live downstairs, so we got a spare room.
It's
Want to
not
move
even
in?
a story.
I know,
You just
yeah,
moved
go on
It's
then.
not even a story.
Yeah, the
He just
moral,
pushed his stuff down the stairs.
the moral of the story is don't travel too far from home. Stick to the waterfalls that you know. That's the story.
Stick to the water. I
What?
don't know any
Have you
waterfalls.
just made that up?
Oh no, the song goes "Don't go chasing waterfalls."
Is that what you were
Damn
trying to
it!
do?
Yeah, no, I got that
Please
wrong.
stick to the rivers and the
Really, you
lakes that you
chose-
used to. That's the rest of the lyric.
I should have been sticking to the
You should have been sticking
what?
to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to.
Yeah, that's what I
keep-
did.
Not chasing waterfalls.
Keep near the
Yeah.
familiar lochs and you'll do all right.
You used exactly the wrong line.
No.
It's not even a lie. He
I
just
got the
made it
whole
up.
message of that song wrong. TLC must be furious at me.
Well,
They are-
two
they
of
are-
them that are still alive will be.
Yeah, one
They
of
are
them's-
listeners.
One of them's spinning in a grave.
They left us reviews on iTunes. TLC.
That was a tasteless
That
joke.
was a really bad joke. What's someone else been up to? Anthony?
I've got some sad news.
Oh, go on, Azan. What's
My
happening?
grandma died.
Oh.
My lovely grandma. But yeah. But we went up to Manchester on Friday for the funeral and actually had a really lovely day. So yeah, apart from the service, that was sad. But the rest of the day was really nice, including we went to this tiny little pub for the wake, and it's literally the most stereotypically northern pub you've ever been to in your life.
Oh, really?
It was amazing.
What's the difference between a
there were
northern
barely
pub
even
and a
any barmaids. You
What's the
just
difference
served
between a-
yourself. It was
What's the difference between a
brilliant.
northern pub and a southern pub?
I'm sure you're about to
The
tell us.
clientele, the decoration. The
I
fact
don't know.
that it's
I've
not-
never been to a
I
northern
thought that
pub.
was a joke.
No,
Oh, I
no,
thought it was a joke.
I've never been to a northern pub. I don't know what
Okay.
like the difference is.
Oh, it's a proper pub, not like the pubs we have down here, like where they've all been taken over by chains and
Wetherspoons.
they're all, they've all been painted and stuff. Like this had proper yellow ceiling, newspaper for wallpaper kind of
Wait,
thing,
what?
piles of rubbish
Sure, it's more
everywhere
like a B and
around
Q or
it.
something.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
pretty sure it
B&Qs
was
don't have
B&Q.
newspaper for wallpaper.
You know what I mean? It's all like decoration and stuff.
Like yellowed newspaper on the walls, like proper old
That's
pubs
weird.
had.
I didn't know they did that.
Oh yeah, they did.
Well, like fish and chips, but in building form.
Yeah. Well, they just
Wow.
put it on the walls and then it's all stained with the tobacco from the years of smoking.
Lovely.
And stuff.
That's good.
But it was just a really cool pub, really.
Yeah.
And it was nice.
Was there-
In other news, though, Neil and I had our housewarming party,
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I was
what
there.
which
that
you
was.
all attended,
Oh.
I did.
and it was great. We finished your cheesecake yesterday, Anthony.
Yeah.
Amazing, as always.
Anthony,
Love that
Did it have a
cheesecake.
crumbly biscuit
Listen,
base?
listen.
No,
and
it's a
It
bit
had,
soggy.
it had a buttery biscuit base.
Listen to me. All I'm going to say is I feel like perhaps Nutella could have been involved in the process there. I may have said it
With
to you
the
before.
cheesecake?
Well, he makes a lot of cakes and pies and stuff, but I've never experienced Anthony's
got a lot.
culinary delights that include Nutella. So I'm feeling
A
it.
lot of fingers with a lot of pies.
I'll take it under advisement. Thanks, James.
A lot of pies and a lot of fingers as well, if you know what I mean.
I seem to remember, though, the housewarming, Anthony took over with the karaoke.
Did.
And it was
over as a-
leading the karaoke.
It's a bit of an understatement.
We sung
though, isn't it?
Bare Naked Ladies together, which you didn't actually know, so that was a bit difficult.
No,
What
Jack.
did you do? 1 week or the Big Bang
1 week.
Theory
Sorry,
thing?
1 week. Yeah, the chicken
Jack-
China, the Chinese chicken, and all
Jack sang it very well, and I tried to join in, and then I was immediately shouted down because I was slightly out of time.
that. By our friend
No,
who was in
which
the room, not
matters
me.
in
I
that
was like, no,
song?
Auntie's doing. She's going. He doesn't know the timings.
Who was it? Who was it?
No,
Lauren.
no, let's not name names.
Who was it?
Please
No
name
names
a
being
name.
named.
That was my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good night. They had fun. Although there was a bit of a lack. You were playing Cards Against Humanity, I know, so I didn't join in. Good fun. It's a popular
Yeah.
board game.
Yeah.
It's
I
great
need
It
to.
was the first time I played it. I expected. I don't know. Cards Against Humanity was weird because Reddit loves it a lot, and it's championed as being very creative. Anthony has it,
I've got a copy of it.
That's
Here,
Jack's,
sorry,
that's Jack's copy.
yeah, right
So
here.
if- Oh, if you look under the
Did you think that was like a
under the
magic
table,
trick?
there's another table.
Just pulled it out
It's
somewhere.
tableception.
Literally, we just start talking
He
about
didn't
Cards
put it out
Against
from between
Humanity.
legs.
I look over, Anthony has it in his hand. I don't know why.
Well,
I'm a wizard.
I want to get like a board. I'm not going to play that in my family because obviously it's Christmas coming up. I want to get like a new
Oh,
board
my
game.
brother's bought it to play with our family at Christmas.
I can't play that
It's
with my mum and
happening.
dad. It's too awkward. But no, I was thinking
That's
so
why
like
we're playing
like I don't want to get Monopoly and Scrabble. I don't know. I looked over there, but I don't know why you. There's nothing over there. I was looking
No,
over
the
there and I
light
was-
changed.
Oh, did it? The light? Oh, the bulb's gone.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's what it is.
no.
the listeners are like, what bulb? No, but I don't know. So I was going to get a board game. If any listeners out there want to tweet me a good board game suggestion, because at the moment I'm thinking
Cluedo.
about buying. No.
Scrabble.
No,
Settlers of
like
Catan.
because I've played all of those. I want to get something new, like King of Tokyo or what's that big one? Like
You want to get
Settlers of Catan.
That's
something
not
like
a family game.
No?
You want to no. It'll
Small
take
World
forever
is
if you
another
want to
one people
understand
said
it.
about.
Perudo is brilliant.
Is that like Cluedo, but
No,
for
it's
perverts,
a it's
isn't
a
it?
dice game
Okay.
with specific heads, and it's all about estimating. Oh no, don't get it. You won't be good at it.
Oh, okay.
It's all
Well,
about estimating how many of a certain number are face up on all the die, but obviously you can only see your die, and you've got to estimate, and
Well,
you've got to
I've
go
kind
higher, and then
of-
you call cheat, and yeah.
Dipped my toe into kind of like I don't know what the word is, like out there board games. I don't know. Like there's like an ocean of these board games I've never heard of.
Enthusiast.
Do you know
board
what you
games?
should do? Do you know what you should do?
What's
Just
that?
get a deck of cards and then a book on card games. Because me and my family we've got about 5 or 6 card games that we all know really well.
Yeah.
And you know, we just sit down and play cards.
So-
We play loads of different card games.
I think that's a good idea, but amazingly, James has a problem with cards for some
why?
reason.
Card games are so boring. It's like, oh, this is a 6 of clubs. This is a 2 of diamonds. What? I
what
don't
game
care.
is that? That's not even
Like,
Snap.
I'm not interested. They're just cards.
What game
I
are you
want
just
a board game that has pretty pictures
pulling out
and
cards,
tells a story. I
You
don't
could
wanna-
get pictures on your cards. They'll get you some
What,
porno
of
cards.
a king and a queen and a joker? I have no need for these things. Look, there's a BioShock Infinite board game. That sounds
good
cool.
God.
All right, that sounds freaking cool.
I'm pretty sure
The
there's never been a
cards-
good board game on a video game.
The Ark. Oh no, that's Lovecraft. Yeah, maybe not.
No, anything that's tied in with a movie or a game as a board game, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Game of
'Cause
Thrones is coming out as a game. Telltale are publishing it. It's supposed
I'm
to
looking
be.
forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that. It's meant
Oh
to be
yeah,
amazing.
it could be alright.
So there's a game
They're
based
releasing.
on.
No, I mean a board
Oh,
game
board
based
game.
on a game.
They're
Sorry.
releasing like 4 games at once. So I don't
The
know about quality of
Goosebumps
that.
board game was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that was
This is just
brilliant.
hard.
I should get Nightmare. Do you
It's
remember
really
Nightmare? That
clubs.
was a great. No, was it Nightmare? The one.
Nightmare was a TV show.
Atmosphere. No, Atmosphere. Do you remember that one where you had to pop a
I
video in?
played that very
And the guy
recently.
would go stop, and you'd be like, "Ooh."
Oh, that's another good one. You can get Seen It. That's
Yeah.
good. Clips from films.
don't know
I've got
if
the Harry Potter
I
special
don't know if
one.
my parents would do like that. They don't really watch films much. But James, what have you been
Oh.
up to anyway? We've been talking
I've
about
been
us.
studying for my exams because
Yeah?
I'm in university, so nothing very interesting there. Although I did see the new Hunger Games film, which it's not meant for me. I hated the first one. I thought I'd hate the second one. I went. Jennifer
very
Lawrence
good.
is still in it,
Yeah.
and it's really good.
Yeah, I've heard really good things
Jennifer
about it.
Lawrence was in it. When I was watching it, I saw Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence is it.
As the main character,
Who was in it?
and it was there was Jennifer Lawrence played the main
Sorry, go on.
character, and I just to be honest, it did have Jennifer Lawrence in it, so it was
Cool. You did. There was on gaming thing. I remember you told me the other night that you cancelled your PS4 pre-order.
Oh yeah, I did.
because there
yeah.
wasn't not enough good games.
It turns out that
Yeah.
none of the launch games, shock horror, are worth playing, let alone paying 50 quid for, let alone paying like 350 quid, then 50 quid again for. So, no. I'm going to wait until March when Infamous comes out and then see what's
Sadly,
going on.
Destiny's been delayed. Well, not sadly actually, but it's been delayed to
Yeah, it's
September.
good.
So that's kind of the list of games I'm looking forward to buying in the new year when I get one. Is getting a bit slim, to be honest. I was
The
a bit like,
Witcher
well,
3 looks really good.
Titanfall.
They released a new trailer that looks amazing.
obviously Sniper Elite 2, Sniper Elite 3. I cannot
kidding
wait
me?
for. Love that game. Anthony, what have you been up to? Anything interesting?
No.
No. Good. Okay, we can move on then.
Fourth show in a row he's done that, ladies and gents.
Yeah.
It's not the 4th show in a row.
How's
Seven.
your
Show
arm
in a
hair
row.
doing? We haven't had an update on that. Are you still
Come on.
trimming?
I decided not to update people on my arm hair ever again. Well, on the show, I mean.
Lisanne, how's it looking?
He's stopped trimming.
How's it? Oh,
It's winter.
Anthony.
It's winter, so he's probably trying to
Unkempt.
grow his fur in a bit more, so he's a bit
You got to be
warmer.
careful because it'll grow back thicker. That's how
It's not
hair.
true.
That's how hair works, apparently. But
No,
I don't
it's
know.
not
No
It'll
way
grow
you
back
keep
in-
shaving
I
your
wouldn't know yet.
If you shave it, it'll grow back in a completely different place. So if you want your forehead to remain hairless, you might not want to trim those anymore.
But what if it comes back somewhere cool like the bottom of my feet?
I thought you say your arse.
It's-
then.
well, it's
Why
gambling,
would you want the
isn't
bottom
it?
of your
I
feet
mean-
to be hairy?
Because then I could walk
Friction.
around and it would be warm on like tiled floors.
You'd never have to buy socks again.
Yeah.
But if you
But it would
step
get
in a
really
puddle,
sweaty and weird.
yeah, if you step in a
Yeah.
puddle or they get wet, you're screwed. Like wet,
Yeah.
hairy feet is not.
Oh, I don't like that.
Well, I'd be wearing shoes outside, obviously. I'm not.
Your feet would get really hot though; they'd burn up.
I don't think
You have to get
a
your
coating of hair on the bottom of my feet would make me burn up.
You wouldn't be able to grip anything either. The bottom of your feet would
Yeah,
be really
Exactly.
slippy.
and your barber would get really bad back problems as well.
Well, no, he just has to sit upside down in the chair.
I'm thinking of his barber.
No, he has
oh
to go
yeah.
upside down in the chair
Oh,
so
but
his
the blood.
feet are sticking up.
But the blood would rush.
yeah.
The blood would rush to your head.
I get
though.
really lightheaded then.
Yeah. You'd have to work out some sort of deal with the barber, like laying sideways or something.
Also,
like
you'd be a freak of nature, and nobody wants
And there's
that.
a fortune to be made there.
Well,
Right, but no one would know. They wouldn't walk around going, that guy's
you
got
would
hair on the bottom of his
You
feet.
would tell the of everyone.
Oh.
You would let everyone you met know that you have hairy feet.
I'd stick a sign on your back every time you weren't looking.
Saying,
That's
kick
what
me.
I'm-
This isn't related to what we're
Here
talking about.
here
No,
he comes, old
saying
dear.
this dude has hairy feet. Ask him.
Yeah, if you had a full mane of hair down on your feet, I probably would tell people when I met him. When this is Anthony, by the way,
It
he's got
wouldn't be
hairy
called a
feet.
mane. It'd be called a growth or something.
growth. I thought it was a growth. He's got a
It's
growth.
not a mane of hair on my
He's got
feet.
a growth on his
growth of
feet. That
hair.
sounds like you got
But
the
it's like
weird...
he's got hairy feet. Well, like
My-
hobbits.
my feet aren't
he's got,
lions,
He's got like
Jack.
proper like perms on his feet.
Oh yeah, that's the
keep us
point. Would it
updated
be
with-
like... Would the hair be like his head hair, or would it be like his beard hair?
Well, it was
Or
originally
his
from my
body
arms,
hair.
so it'd be quite...
No, it would be. I didn't tell you this, but it'd be much hairier. Like it gains like 700% as much hair when it grows back.
700%.
So-
I'd imagine
that's
it's
a
just
lot.
like his feet are wearing wigs. That's how I imagine it.
We have spent a long time talking about this.
He's just got a wig and put it on over the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Like polishing slippers or
We'll make this
something.
happen. We'll make this happen. I'll go out and buy a couple of wigs. We'll put them on your feet, and then we don't have to imagine it anymore.
Brilliant.
But I tell you what I have been up to, Anthony. You've been doing the competition, right? Who won
Yes,
the Paul
the Paul
Monahan
Monahan giveaway. Whoop,
And also, I'd like to say well done because you didn't make your joke of something grade this week. Like you could have said hairy feet
Thank
grade.
God.
Didn't do
I
it.
considered it about 3 times
I know.
in the last
well
15
done. You
minutes.
held off. I'm proud of you. But yeah, Paul Monahan competition. Go.
That is something I've done for the last 4 episodes, so you could have...
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 episodes.
Right, the prize we were giving away was the EA Humble Bundle. I'm not going to go through all the titles again because it was a long list. They're all great.
Great. Yeah.
It registers on... most of them are Origin keys, I think. A couple of them are Steam
Couple
keys.
more. I think I don't know if we actually got that in the package, but I think
No,
Battlefield 3 is HQ.
yeah, so some of them are Origin, some of them are EA, Steam rather.
Steam, yeah.
But the winner, the next Paul Monahan, is Jibber, Jibber.
Well done, Jibber.
So, yeah, we're going to contact you on Twitter.
You're gonna do Paul Monahan.
Yes, you are. The next episode, I figured we'd give away Bastion and Limbo. Little double pack. They're both very atmospheric games.
Awesome games.
Very atmospheric. I thought we could do an atmospheric indie pack. But if you want to enter that, we're going to be putting the competition tweet on Twitter.
Yep.
Just retweet that and you'll be entered. And we'll announce the winner in our next episode in 2 weeks' time.
And we have a kind of side competition to that. It's not really a competition, but we've for our Christmas special, it's coming up our next episode. We are running a little Christmas survey because we're going to be doing kind of like an award show, and we want you out there's opinion on it. So we've got a survey up. If you go to that, fill in only 5 questions, things like favourite game of the last generation, favourite moment. A bunch of you have already done it.
And when Jack says kind of like an award show, don't let that fool you. It's an award show.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a award show. So yeah, go to because we want to hear your opinions. We've had people filling in already with some really interesting answers.
Well, we'll put
And
the
if
link
you
on Twitter,
you
right?
It's on Twitter, and you can also go to psycon.org because there's a big notification there. But we will be tweeting the next couple of days about that.
Psychon.net.
Yeah.
Psychon.net, CSICON.net.
Okay.
And yeah, and if you enter that, you win a chance to win a £10 Amazon voucher
Sweet.
or whatever the equivalent is for your
Can-
local area.
So
Can we
people should
enter?
tell us their information then, right?
Yes, yeah, you have to put in how can we reach you if you win. Basically.
Yeah, there's a question for that.
So there's a
Can the 3 of us enter?
no.
Oh.
I have said
Well,
that.
Because we're doing our own thing.
We're gonna do it on the show,
award
and-
show.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
so I have answers ready to go.
Have you got your dress yet?
I needed the back taken down a little bit because
Yeah.
it's a bit too
One
high on
of-
the back.
Of course.
One of the responses already so far has made me change my opinion on what my favourite moment in the game was.
Oh, really?
I went,
You're so weak.
I was like,
Jack.
mate, you.
Well, no, you
have-
got to be reminded of the moments
yeah,
because
I
you
was like,
forget most of
I
them.
forgot it. I was like, that is a brilliant moment in gaming that I forgot in the last.
Yeah, so
generation.
if the opinions are, well, not opinions, but if the answers are, different from ours, we might well read them out on the show. So
I thought that was the
Oh,
point.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
We're
I'm
gonna
just saying, we're not gonna read all of them out, obviously, but-
but it's kind of it'll be interesting to see who agrees with us, who doesn't agree with us.
Yeah.
The worst game category at the moment is certainly the funniest one that people have been
Yeah.
entering.
Is that like, oh yeah, GTA 5 because driving's slightly different to GTA 4, and I
No.
think it's the worst game that's ever been released.
So far, all the responses we've had, our listeners have got good taste in video
Yeah.
games. Oh yeah,
Well, that's
they've
why
got
they listen to
they've
our
got great
shows.
taste in podcasts as well.
Well,
so
obviously.
you know.
If
But
you're
anyway.
listening to this, you taste great.
Oh, and yes, I've just been reminded that if you do the Christmas, if you write a review for us at the moment on iTunes, not only will you get a bag badge, which is freaking awesome. But you're going to get a lovely Christmas card signed by all of us here. Yay! Because we love Christmas.
And we're not just printing them out like 1,000 at a time. We're signing each one by hand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You get your name in
And
there.
James has written a different message in every single one.
I have enclosed
Yeah.
a small novel in each of these.
Yeah.
So if you get them, you kind of got to work together to find out what the novel is. Otherwise, you're going to get like the ending.
Yeah.
It's like, and she
then it'll be-
died.
It'll be
Love
ready
James.
for you
Love
then.
James.
So,
You just spoiled the ending for everyone there, Jack.
Oh, yeah.
so
there will
leave
be
a
like-
review on iTunes.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to
leave
be
a
a
review.
good review.
Leave a
just
review on
Leave a review on
iTunes.
iTunes, and we'll get in touch with you and ask you where you want your badge and your Christmas card sent to.
Yeah.
The show
Preferably
that-
your address, not someone
Yeah.
else's.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
some random.
Be weird.
We didn't get a voiceover this week, so we're going to have a quick blurb on the game from our own Anthony.
Pac-Man is an arcade game developed by Namco and first released in Japan on May 22nd, 1980. Immensely popular from its original release to the present day, Pac-Man is considered one of the classics of the medium and an icon of 1980s popular culture. The player controls Pac-Man through a maze, eating Pac-Dots, also called pellets. When all Pac-Dots are eaten, Pac-Man is taken to the next stage. 4 enemies, Blinky, Pinky, Inky and Clyde, roam the maze, trying to catch Pac-Man. If an enemy touches Pac-Man, a life is lost and he withers and dies. When all players have been lost, the game ends. Pac-Man is often credited with being a landmark in video game history and is among the most famous arcade games of all time. It is also one of the highest grossing video games of all time, having generated more than $2.5 billion in quarters by the 1990s.
Cheers for that, Anthony. Nice voice.
That was a bit
Well
weird,
done.
man.
That's a bit weird.
That got strange.
Yeah.
Cool. Pac-Man. Let's talk about Pac-Man.
I think this might be the
nom, nom.
simplest game we've ever discussed.
Waka,
It
waka,
is.
waka.
This is why I
It's
picked
not
it.
the simplest game, though. It's not a
not gonna start
simple
hearing
Oh, so
game.
Zork.
It's
Zork.
Zork.
Zork isn't the simplest.
No, Zork is way more complicated than this.
You can't just walk in and go, it's a simple game.
No, I'm
It's
saying
not.
it's the simplest game we've
He's
discussed. I
got it
think.
all figured out. Review done.
I'm not saying it's a simple game. I'm saying I think it's the simplest one we've done so far.
I define what you mean by simple.
I think this is the farthest back we've gone in terms of gameplay mechanics, graphics, that sort of thing. Like
Oh, probably,
next we'll
yeah.
do Space
I think
Invaders.
Zork might have been a little bit further.
I mean, no, Zork
I
in
was tempted
graphics.
to do Space Invaders and Pac-Man in a bundle.
Oh, you just
But-
reminded me of the Charlie Brooker documentary we didn't talk about. But in
Oh,
that,
yeah.
I don't know if it's in that actually, but they talk about somewhere like Space Invaders. And
Yeah.
it starts off slow and gets faster. That's a technical limitation. The reason it gets faster is because there's less stuff rendered on screen. It wasn't actually a design choice. It was just the technology at the time.
Oh, interesting.
Well, it's still like a beneficial bug, whatever.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't.
Pac-Man was
intentional.
in that top 25.
Yeah.
Charlie Brooker did a great documentary on Channel 4. If any of you out there can get hold of it, we did a top 25.
Yeah, it's on
kind of
4AD.
really good.
like history of
brilliant.
games, but he kind of looked at the top 20, the 25,
The
kind
25
of
most
important
influential.
or influential.
Weirdly enough, a lot of the games that we've done on this show.
Yes,
Yes.
they were. Although he did Night Trap, which I thought was a bit bizarre.
Well, it was
but
influential.
I didn't
wasn't
know
it?
that
I
one.
guess it was influential, but yeah, Pac-Man was in there. And one of the things that came up in the show actually, I thought was really interesting that I hadn't really thought of. That Pac-Man's quite a unique character because he's not tied to any kind of like he's not Sega, he's not Nintendo, he's not Microsoft, he's not Sony. He's just Pac-Man. He belongs to I guess.
Isn't he Namco?
Yeah, he's Namco.
Yeah, but
Namco.
but do you know what I mean? He was kind of like he is the arcade. Like if you think of name an arcade character, people are probably going to say Pac-Man.
Donkey
he was
Kong.
the
Street
first.
Fighter 2.
He was the
Donkey
first
Kong,
ever.
man.
Okay, but okay, he was,
Donkey Kong.
forget it then. Forget it. I was
Jack.
wrong.
Well, no,
No, go on, Jack,
he was
go
the
on,
first
go
ever
on.
kind of
Donkey Kong.
character brand in video gaming. Like before him, I don't think there ever was a character.
Yeah, they didn't have like a Space Invader. As
Well,
a,
Yeah, that's true.
I guess so, and
And
like
you
what-
view it
the
that the
Pong
asteroids
paddle.
was just that little rocket.
I don't remember the Pong paddle selling cereal. That's the thing.
Tetris with shapes.
That shape has been used a lot
The
in
Pong,
the universe.
what the rectangle.
Rectangles are everywhere, man. Wake up, sheeple.
such good product placement. But yeah, no, you're right. I think he like was a very early arcade character, which is quite a success because he was just a mouth basically. Didn't even have
Yeah.
eyes on the actual console. I mean the arcade.
Well, no, on the in the game he didn't, but on the sides.
Yeah, he had,
of
like,
the
legs and stuff.
console, yeah, they turned him into a
Weren't-
more fully fledged character.
Weren't his eyes just little Pac-Man themselves?
Yeah, it's
that's
Pac-Manception.
weird.
I saw that on
He
Reddit
was
the other
in,
week. That
um,
freaked me out.
He was in the Mario Kart arcade game as well, which is really freaky. So they gave him arms and legs. It just didn't see. It seemed weird to see Pac-Man
That is
driving.
weird.
He shouldn't be driving a car or like doing
No.
anything.
He should be
outside.
eating the other cars.
I liked him in his cameo in Wreck-It Ralph
Yeah.
when he's munching all the shrimp cocktails at the party as
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're the little yellow dots. He's just nom 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 not nomming his way
Waka,
through.
waka, 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 waka.
Yeah, it's good. Was a.
And it's quite interesting with Pac-Man because like my notebook at work it's just got a Pac-Man on it, but I've never actually thought it's weird. Pac-Man has become, like I was saying, he's a character, but we always say like things like Street Fighter ingrained in society and marries, but Pac-Man is so ingrained that people don't even notice anymore. That
It's it. It's
Pac-Man.
iconic.
Yeah,
I've got
true.
I've
It's
got a
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man apron. And then in our room, Neil and I've got a Pac-Man canvas print.
He's-
Like it is
I
everywhere.
actually have a Pac-Man tattoo on the inside of my skull.
I thought so.
But he's one of the very few characters. Even like my mum, I could give her like a Pac-Man apron, and she'd go, "Oh, it's Pac-Man. Oh, lovely." And she wouldn't be like, "Why are you buying me a video game?" She'd be like, "Oh, it's Pac-Man." Like she wouldn't know what Pac-Man is, but she just knows that character. She knows he's just a yellow circle with a slice missing.
I guess because it was early enough, simple enough to represent, so it's stuck in everyone's memories, and pervasive enough. Because Sonic's
And it had
more
a really nice colour palette as well.
like Sonic and Mario, are the other two big, I think, mascots, if you will, and they're much more complicated.
Yeah, but they were much later as well.
So I think Pac-Man is that way because it was earlier and much simpler.
I think the earlier is key there. I mean, when arcades were introduced and when they sort of gained popularity, it was quite a mainstream thing. Gaming wasn't relegated like it was in the late 80s, early 90s for a large amount of people to like a subculture for nerds. You know, a lot of people were going and playing Pac-Man like when they were out doing whatever.
Yeah.
So our parents' generation, like they would have been seeing that a lot, if not maybe doing it themselves.
Yeah, but then the gaming crash of 80 whatever happened.
2 or
17,
something like that.
Atari,
Don't know. Who cares?
E.T. the game.
All
that good stuff.
I was going to pick up what you said about the color palette because I'm probably completely wrong, but like
Yes,
I would,
yeah.
I love it when you start pointing
I would
at this.
no, but described that the color palette of Pac-Man was kind of like neon, like
Yeah.
almost like neon thing. And again, okay, I
Because
know.
it was the really sharp colours on black.
Yeah, no, I get that. But what I was going to say is before this game, and obviously I've not done loads of research, but when did Tron come out? Because I think
Tron
this
was
game,
mid-80s. I think it was 84.
considering this came out in 1980, and I would say Pac-Man is very 80s. I almost think like, did the whole kind of neon color scheme exist much before this?
I think it
not
would be
hugely.
a stretch to credit Pac-Man with the neon inspiration.
But you know what I
that was
mean?
present
Like,
in the
it's-
80s, I think.
there's something about the Pac-Man color scheme that does also scream 80s.
Yeah,
Like
I
very
would-
vibrant colors in
But
it.
it was,
but like that
the
kind of
big,
neon.
it was one of the biggest games of that decade.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so-
I would
Anthony.
put forward the point that the neon color scheme started because of neon lights. Am I crazy for saying so?
You might be onto something there. You know, you might.
Fine.
Even the reason it's called neon. Let's even put. I'm going to stick my go out on a limb with that as well.
All right, fine enough. But I
Well,
don't know. I think it's one of the most famous examples of use of like neon color schemes and disco.
Right, I mean-
almost not disco, but
I guess similar games at the time were more monochrome, sort of more boring looking.
Yeah.
Like Pong was just white on black.
What about the gameplay?
Well, I was going to say,
Go on.
I think that's the main reason Pac-Man was so successful, is because you just have your 4 directional keys. That's it. Or you move a joystick in the direction, and it's that simple. You have nothing else to worry about with the controls, and I remember playing it for as far back as I can remember. We've always had a copy of it on a computer at home, and then obviously that came onto other devices, but it's just always been there because it's so simple to control. Simple to control.
yeah.
I feel like that's an interesting point because it sort of hits this right middle ground where Pong basically had 2 keys, even though originally it had a spinner.
But yeah.
Up and down, and Space Invaders had left, right, and shoot. So that's 3 keys.
Yeah,
But
Asteroids had that weird spinning mechanic.
Yeah.
That was really irritating, and you could fire yourself along, but then you'd be spinning out of control, and you were trying to shoot.
Yeah.
But Pac-Man's gameplay was complicated enough, but not too complicated. So it gave you more variety than just left, right,
Well,
up and down.
no, the gameplay itself wasn't complicated.
No, but I mean compared
It just got quicker.
compared to Pong and
Just got quicker.
compared to Pong and Space Invaders, I think there was enough excitement going on. Like Space Invaders was a bit slow, whereas Pac-Man definitely wasn't slow.
Well, Space Invaders sped up. You just obviously died too soon.
Yeah,
I was going to say one thing.
I'm terrible at these games. That's why.
Space Invaders is a lot more exciting though. It has a lot more conceptually going on at once because you're moving left to right, you're shooting, you're moving, the shapes are.
I mean, I feel like you've got more time to
cover.
consider things in Space Invaders.
Oh, I thought you were going to say more time to consider things.
Yeah,
in
no,
Pac-Man.
I disagree.
No, Pac-Man,
I
like-
think
No, I
Pac-Man,
agree
you've got
with-
more strategy
No,
time.
I agree with Anthony. Like Pac-Man, you got to.
You got to plan a route out
my
and
God,
stuff.
yeah, that's-
You don't have to plan a
Twitch.
route.
If you want to
reactions.
survive, I'm terrible at Pac-Man. I think it's because I'm bad at this sort of game. Just I have to think like, where do I go? There's going to be a ghost there
4
if I go that
directions
way.
is too many.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's complicated enough to make it challenging, but not too complicated to make it hard to play for people who don't play video games.
Yeah. It starts off moderately easy, and then it does get harder a lot quicker, just by going quicker.
But then that for me illustrates the main problem with Pac-Man, which is the challenges. Jack's looking at me expectantly. He was about to launch into.
Oh
something.
no!
He made a noise
I want to
as
hear
well.
what you're about to say.
we're not done at this
I did
point.
my whale impression. Go on.
Challenge isn't synonymous with interest or sort of.
No.
compelling reason to play. And so Pac-Man is one of those exercises in sort of just triviality and boredom, I think. I mean, you're moving left, down, up, right. You've got these directions. You're escaping the ghosts. Oh, I'm going to get a pellet. I'm going to move back.
Right, but consider it in context. Like,
oh, yeah,
what are you comparing
context,
it to?
Honestly, I'm comparing it to itself. This is in a vacuum. Look at it right now. As an exercise, what is it doing? It's not mentally stimulating. It's not. Your reaction time is barely tested. It's just...
But it is later on.
Oh, later on, sure, sometimes. But again, it's such a basic concept that I think people always credit it for being so broad, and it's a bit, oh, everybody loves Pac-Man. Yeah, but so what? Why does that matter?
I'm saying it's such a basic concept now, but not then.
No, at that point it was, though. In terms of the technology of computer games and arcade games, no, this was a fantastic innovation. Nothing like it had come before. And I agree with you, it was something new and important at the time. All I'm saying is that conceptually, looking at it inherently as itself, it's dull. I find it to be completely
I get what James is on about. I think what could improve Pac-Man would be that the board changed level by level.
Well, no, they've
Something like
released
that.
modern versions of Pac-Man that people
Jack's looking at me
absolutely
like
love.
I'm crazy.
Firstly,
I think Pac-Man is amazing, but I understand what James is saying is that it is quite monotonous because it is just
People
you
always-
replaying the same board over and over and over.
People talk about all those Koreans dying playing StarCraft or whatever. People spending their entire lives playing World of Warcraft, but that is far less of a waste than any time spent playing a game like Pac-Man, because that is actually activating different parts of your brain at the same time. Whereas Pac-Man, movement.
Firstly, you're all wrong.
What?
No, I'm going to completely disagree with you for one solid reason
Try
why
it.
this game.
Let him finish.
Why this game is so good, and it's because the AI of the ghosts was incredible.
Oh yeah,
Do
they
you
all
know
do
what?
different
I didn't-
things.
They are.
Hands up, I didn't know about that
They
until
are
I watched
so clever.
until I watched the Charlie Brooker program. I never realised.
Well, they do a thing. I think it was called scatter, where every so often they would just scatter, and that means they would all go to the corners, back to
Yeah.
their home, and they'd come back in. And as the game got on, they got faster. They came out quicker. They scattered less. They'd hide down. It was so clever how, and I don't know which one done what, but one ghost hunted you. One ghost would hunt you, but when you got within 4 squares of you, he would run away.
That guy's
Yeah.
playing mind
Another
games.
ghost, I think, would just wander, and one more would predict where you were gonna be. And the thing is, if you had to, and what the best Pac-Man players in the world would do is they would think about the 4 ghosts, and they got to know those 4 ghosts intimately.
Oh,
They were
come on.
They did, and they would have to
Inky,
think.
Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde.
Yes, they would have to think about right.
Clyde.
They would know the behaviour of those ghosts, and even then, even when they were still doing it, the ghosts would still manage to outsmart when they had to think so quickly about right. Where's Inky going to be? Where's Pinky going to be? Oh my god, I got to run.
I'm pretty sure they figured out that there's just a route you can take every time now.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if just by trial and error they've managed to find the perfect route.
And also, you say
Yeah,
that
'cause
like it's an
I-
amazing thing. That's such low-level thinking. Oh, right, okay, I need to move
No,
this
but
way.
at the
that's the
time-
core
I mean,
of
Space Invaders, you had those 40s aliens that were all moving.
That's the core
in
of gaming.
synchronised
To
movement.
look at the situation, assess it, and react to it. That's
Okay,
gaming.
that is core gaming is not some standardized little definition that Jack Marshall
even all the
comes
way
up
to
with.
this day, even in the most modern games today, that's all you're doing. You're assessing the situation, you're reacting to it.
What about a situation that plays out seemingly random with barely any interaction with you? Have you played Heavy Rain?
Yeah.
Have you played Heavy Rain?
She goes, oh, don't run over there.
Has
Ooh,
anyone
run
really
over there.
played Heavy Rain, James?
Can anyone ever really play Heavy Rain?
No, the answer is they
Interesting
can't,
questions,
Lisanne, because it's an interactive movie.
And that's why I love Pac-Man. It's got that incredible depth to it.
It
of
does
the
not have
AI of the
incredible
ghosts.
depth. Are you
Oh,
talking?
didn't you read the backstory?
Oh, come on.
It's
Pac-Man's pin
fantastic.
addiction, the ghosts are synonymous
Yeah,
with
fair enough.
society,
Fair enough.
I'd
bearing
like to
down
point
on
out
him.
that T-shirt, that one T-shirt that shows the ghosts
Oh,
and
them as
Pac-Man,
men.
whatever. Yeah, that one T-shirt has more artistic merit than Pac-Man ever will.
Yeah, but it's just developing upon the existing artistic merit of Pac-Man.
What artistic
Why
merit?
are you so against Pac-Man?
It's terrible. I hate it.
Are you bad at it?
It's almost
Do you
impossible to be bad
understand its
at it.
iconography?
No, it's not impossible to be bad at
huge
it.
it
Yeah, no, listen. I don't understand the iconography of Pac-Man. All right, okay.
I think that's a good question. Are you bad at Pac-Man? Because I'm bad at Pac-Man.
I'm not bad at Pac-Man. No, it's actually
No?
it's the type of game I find to be easiest because you've got so limited a tool set that you just react. My reaction times are quite good because I play so many
Oh,
games.
so you must be the best in the world of Pac-Man. then.
Pretty
You must
much,
be
yeah.
You've
So
got
I've
a world
actually
record.
I
You've
understand
got a
more about
world record,
Pac-Man
you've
than
done it.
anyone else at this table. So I feel more qualified to comment, Jack.
I
What have I
lose.
done? I thought we'd all be happy and enjoy this game.
I lose like my 3 lives in about a minute and a half in Pac-Man, so I'm the opposite
Yeah,
of
I
James.
don't last that long.
I'm really good at Pac-Man. I'm all right at it. I'm really good. I'm assessing those ghosts AI. I have to sit there and I have to think about this, and I've got Twitch reactions. Because
How
the
well
game-
do you know Clyde, though? Really?
Pretty. I mean,
Who
well,
can ever know
That's the thing.
Clyde,
I
really?
can never remember when I'm. I can never remember like now, just looking, going. I think the red one is Blinky, the one that he hunts you because he's the first one out.
So right now you're at the stage where you still don't even know which ghost is
No,
which.
but the moment I start playing, I
He's
look
not on
at
a
the
first-name
I can
basis.
look at the behaviour and go, okay, he hunts you. He's the one that's going to wander around aimlessly, so you've got to avoid him. And it's all about using those little pills to give you the power up at the right time when you know they're going to corner you. It's so cool. It's
Just
so
like
It
great.
is great. I mean, the excitement when you eat that pill and then suddenly you can
And
eat the ghosts, and it's so satisfying
go,
when you get them. What
Yeah.
I love is cornering them and then
this-
munching all four one after the other, and then they all go crying back, and then you get extra cherries.
Down here in Brighton,
It's
there's a couple of places that have these sit-down arcade machines. There's one in Hobgoblin, there's one in Bohemia, and whenever I go in there and I start playing them, they've got a couple of games on them, and normally, obviously, Pac-Man is kind of the classic arcade, and I can play it a lot longer than I can play Space Invaders or
Yes.
any of the old ones.
Yeah.
Have been. But one thing I would ask you, Joe James, because I would be shocked if you say this, what about the sound effects and the music and stuff like that? Because that's pretty lovely.
Music. You say
Like the
music.
Wagga, 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 wagga.
Yeah,
And all that.
I mean, again,
Classics.
It's good. It's definitely good. It's iconic, but it's hard to.
Sorry, no, that's when he dies.
It's
when he goes,
hard to. It's hard to
sounded like
remove that
puppies.
from the cut of Pac-Man, isn't it? It's hard to take those sounds and think of them when they're not Pac-Man. You might be thinking they're good and they're that sort of powerful and well done because they're so popular because they're in Pac-Man.
What so what would you clarify? So I don't understand. So you're saying they're not good sound effects?
No, I'm
or-
saying they are, but it's again,
hard
it's
to separate.
With Street
separate
Fighter's visuals, it's this sort of thing where it's so ingrained now. Everybody knows that sound. You can't remove that from Pac-Man, so it's hard to say, oh yeah, it's good or it's not. It's just it is so incredibly iconic. It's amazingly famous.
Fair enough. Has anyone else got anything they want to share about Pac-Man? Because I think it's fantastic. But
I'd like to point out, because I sort of touched on this before, that in context, Pac-Man, I think, needs to have a lot of praise heaped upon it, even though I'm not really a fan of it. Just for having that more complex game style and the need for split-second reaction times or whatever. Because compared to other games, it's much more interesting even to look at than games like Pong and Space Invaders.
I was going to say
It's fun to watch over someone else's shoulder as well.
I think
Yeah.
as well, one of the things I always kind of liked about Pac-Man as compared to some of the old, and I think why this one rose up so much, like I'd say with Space Invaders and any arcade games like that, is because Pac-Man, someone could just watch it someone could look at the first 10 seconds of Pac-Man gameplay without not knowing anything about video games and get what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as they know, I'm the yellow dude, I'm Pac-Man, that's Pac-Man.
Right, but
It's
again, in
very
context,
obvious.
that's the same as with
No, but
Pong
you
and-
can see, like, the moment you eat the first pellet, the pellet disappeared. I meant to eat all the pellets. Oh, okay. The bigger ones do something. What do they do?
You would
Oh,
make
they
a
make the
terrible,
ghost.
terrible rat, Jack.
What is that?
Constantly eating the
I know.
poison. Oh,
Just-
this one disappeared when I put it inside me.
No, but do you know what I mean? And then a ghost gets released, and it's very visually to look at. You can kind of go, I get exactly
It's
what's in.
very
I
visually
still.
to look at.
No,
You know what I mean? Visually looking at it is very easy to understand what's happening
Yeah,
on screen. It's
absolutely.
very actually going, actually, I get this concept very quickly.
It's also
Whereas
far
if I
more
watch someone
exciting.
playing, I was about to say Heavy Rain, but if I watch someone playing, I don't know, I'm trying to think, even something like Gauntlet, I'd be a bit like, oh, what's he got to do here? Who's this? Or even like, I don't know, some famous arcade games. But this one is very pick up easy and pick up to play, even though it's an arcade machine, so you don't really pick up and play it. But
You could if you're really strong, or the guy
Yeah.
from Deus Ex.
yeah. There's a game you can pick up and play. I have to learn all the buttons.
Yeah, it does have more than
I
4
miss the
buttons.
days where I could pick up a game and I'm straight into gameplay. Whoosh.
You must have been a strong 5-year-old.
It's true. Anyway, yeah, I think it's a great game.
I really liked, obviously I really loved Wreck-It Ralph as a movie anyway, but I love the fact that the game opened with it being set within the little house in the centre of the Pac-Man thing where the ghosts live.
Yeah.
The meeting with the bad guys in there. And I like the fact that it was the orange one, because I think you said that the orange one is the one that hunts you. So he's the worst of the ghosts, and he feels
Yeah.
bad.
Oh, I
'cause
bet
he's
that's Clyde.
ghost.
Clyde, yeah. Clyde was the orange one.
Oh, was he?
Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. Which I was
Yeah,
really weird.
it was the orange one in the movie. But I did find it very weird how they voiced him with a really low, deep, manly voice. I don't know why, but I imagined that the ghosts would have a higher pitched voice than they did.
Well, everyone knows what
But
ghosts
yeah.
sound like. They're like, ooh.
Yeah.
That's very true. It's very true. But then I did like the subsequent animation that they did in that film, where they then transformed all the characters into 8-bit Pac-Man characters, and then Ralph went and got the cherries and brought them out. And it's that iconic. They can do it in a movie, and instantly everyone gets it, and everyone gets the in jokes, and then you get what that film is about. That's how universal Pac-Man is.
Yeah.
It is a baseline for everyone.
Yeah, it's easy to make a joke about Pac-Man. Nobody's going to misunderstand
Exactly.
What I find interesting is that it's iconic and universal and influential in that socially everyone knows it, but it hasn't really ever spawned a genre or anything. There's been lots of Pac-Man games since, and people really like
Pac-Man
them.
style games and stuff.
No, I mean like Pac-Man Championship DX Arcade Edition.
But there's even been
Ms.
like
Pac-Man.
I had a quick look at a catalogue of Pac-Man games. There's been like Pac-Man Adventures where he's like just a point-and-click game with Pac-Man and things
There
like
was
that.
on the
And-
PlayStation 1, I remember there was like a third-person platformer type game for Pac-Man. It's actually pretty good, but then it was like 7.
Yeah, there was one. I want to say it's on the GameCube where you could plug in your Game Boy Advances, and they'd be ghosts, and then Pac-Man would be on the main screen.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think that's like I think the Wii U. Surely that's perfect. Like you stick whoever Pac-Man is on the. I know it wouldn't work.
No,
so the
they did
ghosts
that
on
with
screen.
Luigi's Mansion, didn't they? We played that.
Yeah,
One
Yeah, you
kid
could say
on
that's
the
kind of
one
a
kid on the
genre.
Wii U pad was Luigi, and the rest of us were all ghosts on the screen chasing
I mean,
him around.
you could argue that Nintendo Land, the game, where Mario's running around and the other people are trying to chase him, that's basically Pac-Man.
That's very similar. Yeah.
In
Then
that
you've
kind
got,
of
They're all
form.
based
you've
on that
got
concept.
the slight evolutions and like those Tron light cycle games.
Yeah.
Where you block yourself off, and then Snake obviously is quite like Pac-Man.
Yeah, no, that's true. I
I
was
was
just
quite
quick
far away from the concept.
Well, not really, because you're still.
It's still the
moving
four
around.
directional arrows,
It's
isn't
still,
it?
the base concept is the same. You've got 4 directions. You're collecting pellets, except now instead of ghosts, it's yourself, which is perhaps a philosophical meditation.
You are the maze you're
Yeah.
trapped in.
Ooh. People have gone to like incredible lengths of pointlessness of trying to like analyze the like philosophy behind
the
Pac-Man.
American dream.
And they've tried to
American
they've
dream.
tried to break down the ghosts as different types of like just whatever like procedure like movements in America and things like that.
Think
And
he's
it's just like
Churchill.
ridiculous. It's like they're just ghosts. I was just quickly reading though that the creator Tora Iwatani, I'm going to go for. Recently described 2011 Games Developer Conference, he stated that the red enemy chases Pac-Man and the pink and the blue enemies just try to position themselves in front of Pac-Man's mouth, and the orange one's behaviour is just random.
That guy was always my favourite.
So I was maybe a little bit wrong on that, but yeah. And then funny enough, when I was researching Pac-Man for the show, there are some incredibly well-written articles on the study of Pac-Man and the kind of. I mean, did we all see the King of Kong documentary?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Do you remember the bit where like how the guy had like he put a screen on top of his arcade so he could draw? I know this is Donkey Kong, but he could draw the angles of jumps.
Yes.
Yeah.
And where they're going. And people have done that for Pac-Man by studying the squares and where is, like you say, probably found the perfect route to always avoid.
Yeah, because I think they always, at least in the original Pac-Man, I think they always react the same way if you move the same way.
I don't know if there is a perfect route though, but I think there is a route in terms of. I think they
Well,
would
no, I
all-
don't think their movement's
I don't think you
randomised.
could go on forever in one level. You had to you had to time catching the pellets as well as collecting all the dots to complete the level. I don't think you could just keep going forever. If that
Probably
makes
could.
sense.
No, because I think the
In
ghosts...
one maze on one board.
Yeah, I was in on one maze. They will
No,
get
there
faster.
is-
They will
isn't there a
catch you.
timer?
I think.
They don't get faster.
I thought there was a timer.
I think
Might
there's a
be a
timer in
timer.
Pac-Man. I can't remember. I never noticed it.
Well, they would have been on the arcade, surely.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, this was going to be my trivia section, but I thought it was quite interesting to talk about anyway. That classic kind of arcade players managed to. So they just made the game. Every Pac-Man level, it gets faster and faster, or the ghosts
Yeah.
get more aggressive. Blah blah blah. And it went up to 255 levels, where the developers obviously thought no one's going to get this high. It's ridiculous.
No,
but
that's
of
not-
course they
that's not the
did.
Neil told me the reason.
Oh, what's the reason?
It's because it's an 8-bit game,
Oh,
and it can't have more than
256.
256.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why
right.
you get the kill screen, right?
Well, that's what
Yeah.
that's
It's
exactly
'cause
what
it
happens.
breaks.
Yeah, you get to 256.
They can't do more than that.
And then half the screen becomes a big, like a split screen almost. Half the screen on the right side becomes a complete level of words. But the game still runs. And so the pros can even play. So even though the map is missing and there's this bunch of letters and the ghosts are still moving around, but when the ghosts go into that side of the screen, they disappear.
You just
People
can't
can
see.
still play on after that level,
Jesus.
even though it's missing half the screen.
It looks like static.
I've got. I mean, I can't really show the look at the visitors, but that's it there.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's just a lot of letters.
It was actually Missing No's first appearance in a video game.
Oh, really?
That was his early cameo before they put him in Pokemon.
Oh, genius.
But it's just fascinating
good.
that
That guy gets around.
it's just fascinating that people were obviously that like the kill screen, as they call it in classic arcade games, which developers always thought no one would ever reach. But I remember when we worked on video games, I did one. Well, I worked on one for Chime on the PS3, which is like a kind of Tetris style game, and we put out within the first day, people were completely destroying the high scoreboards that we ever achieved. Like, there are people. I mean, it's amazing, but people are so good at these games. It's insane.
Even I've beat developer records, and I'm just like, I'm really amazing.
Well,
But then I remember it's people like you, Jack, and I don't think I'm amazing.
I mean, we landed on the moon. There's going to be one guy who can perfect Pac-Man. There's going to be one guy who can literally just do Pac-Man until the universe.
Wouldn't it be
ends.
horrible though if, like, say every human being on Earth has one thing that they're absolutely perfect at doing, and you're the guy
Everyone
that got,
does.
I'm
That would
perfect
be-
at Pac-Man.
that would
Of
be
all the
horrible,
things,
yes.
I'd be pretty pleased with that.
That's quite a nice-
Quite cool. That's
well,
quite good.
you'd be a bit. I'd be like, no.
It's better than not being able to
I wish
identify
I'd got,
different
like,
types of screw.
brain surgeon or something.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
no,
that's
if
true.
you can identify different types of screw, you can be like a mechanic or something. But if you're good
Yeah,
at
but it's not
Pac-Man,
as
what are you gonna
exciting
do?
when you say it to people
Yeah,
in a bar.
people aren't as impressed.
It would suck to be able to grow your fingernails really fast.
No, because you could be the guy. Because everyone knows
Or
that
be-
guy from the Guinness Book of World Records with the
Oh
really
yeah,
long
with
ones.
his really long fingernails.
That's true.
That guy's creepy.
He is creepy
How
though.
does he wipe his bum?
How does he play Pac-Man? That's the question.
With his toes, his hairy toes.
his hairy toes. Yeah, I mean, so yeah. And if anyone else wants to share anything more about Pac-Man, the classic Pac-Man,
Yes, classics is old, Jack.
if
Not
would you
good.
how much would you? I don't even know what I'm trying to see how much
should
you
I
don't.
pay someone to
I
travel
would-
back in time
No.
and remove Pac-Man from the annals of history? Oh, $10 billion.
No, I was going to ask how much would you pay for an arcade machine of Pac-Man in your house, and I realised that that'd be the worst thing ever to get you. You wouldn't want that
I
at all.
probably wouldn't pay anything for it,
You
Jack.
hate it.
I want to
It's
say
Neil's dream to build his own MAME cabinet, so I probably will have Pac-Man in my house in an arcade machine.
That'd be cool. You should get the emulator that
Yeah.
has like all the games, because otherwise it's Pac-Man and that's just ridiculous.
that's what you mean. That's what she means by
Yeah.
saying MAME.
Oh, it's
MAME
MAME
is the
MAME
emulator.
the emulator, not the...
Multiple arcade machine
Main
emulator.
Yeah.
emulator, yeah.
Oh, I thought MAME was like the hardware itself. I didn't
No,
realize.
MAME is the software.
Oh, okay.
Basically just put computers
he's
in
gonna,
those.
Yeah.
his dream is to make one and do his own
I hope he's got
decals
other
on the side and
dreams.
stuff.
Hope he's not just going to build it and go,
Oh, yeah.
I am
He's got this one
done.
where he keeps like he
Just
keeps
gone.
falling.
Well, no, he will. He'll build that, and then he'll get a
Make it
stool,
stool.
and then he will sit there, and I will just have to feed him. So, yeah.
But no, I'm going to say, just to make a grand statement, especially because I don't think James will like it, that if you had a graph showing like how complex games got over time from this inception to, you know, and how well, I'm not sure what this graph would show. I'm saying that Pac-Man's the peak of this graph that shows like when they became complex, but before they got too complex.
You've lost me.
For the
You've
general
lost me.
public. Like, Pac-Man was complicated enough to be interesting to look at, but not too complicated that people stopped being
Then it
able
was
to play it.
inaccessible.
Like, if I gave my grandmother, not that either of
Call
them
of
are
Duty
alive,
4.
Call of Duty 4, she'd be like, what is going on? But if I gave her Pac-Man, she'd be like, oh, I like this. But if I gave her maybe Pong, she'd be like, well, this is a bit boring.
I
That's
see what
true.
you mean.
So I'm saying,
Yeah, it's definitely on that scale.
I
it's
don't
the
know. I think-
pinnacle of complication for the general public in video
What
games.
about, I think your grandma could pick up Wii Sports.
Well, I mean, she's dead, but...
Well, okay.
That's
Jesus.
mine!
Bloody hell. Well, okay, when they were alive, I think they could have picked up Wii Sports.
I think
Yeah,
Super
but-
Mario Bros fits that a bit better.
Yeah, Wii Sports is... No, Super Mario Bros.
Super
definitely
Mario
not.
is,
No.
it's more
Way more
complicated.
fun.
No.
Yeah, it's,
You've
It's
got
more
one,
fun, but
you've got
it's-
one less direction.
it's
No
too...
up.
It's too... Yeah, but you've got jump instead.
Yeah.
Got two more buttons.
It's too complicated for just the general
And then
population
mushrooms
as a
and
whole.
different
Yeah.
kinds of enemies.
There's
and
way more
the
concepts
levels
in there.
change. That's more interesting if you're a gamer, but
What kind
if
of general
you're a
public?
casual player,
What kind of general public are you guys talking about?
the
Where some
ones
random
who
guy on
pop
the street
into an
can-
arcade shop
they
and then want to play a game,
Okay,
and
what?
that's what they
A,
play.
what's
Alright,
an
mate.
arcade shop?
It's an
and
ancient
B,
thing that they used to have before you could
Who
get
do
a
you
console
know
in,
in
the
real
home.
life that could not complete a level in Super Mario Bros?
No, they might
Oh,
be
my
able to
mum
complete it
couldn't.
eventually.
Your mum could not do one level in Super Mario Bros.
She'd fall down a hole and go, what happened?
Tell it. Then you
Oh, it's a
explain.
turtle.
Oh,
Ran
don't fall
into
down
it.
the hole,
Oh,
mum.
my grandma, she...
Like,
yeah,
Mum,
she'd be able to.
God damn it.
I like
Not because
turtles.
she's dead, but if she was alive, she'd
Oh,
be able
don't
to.
do that.
My mum did complete a level of Super Mario World. She completed, the first ghost house. You have to go through the door
Well, there
twice.
you go. Yeah.
We
None
heard,
of
yeah,
us thought of doing that. My mum did. My mum completed that.
we
level.
heard
She
this
cracked
story.
It.
It was, she was
You did.
the code cracker.
Go back and listen to it in the previous episode.
The old episodes are all great.
The old episodes are brilliant. You can hear us in our younger days.
You raise a good point. Wii Sports is something I'd also put in this section of the graph, but that's because it's got a real world equivalent
Yeah.
of tennis, so
Right.
people understand it already. Whereas Pac-Man's got a new concept because you're a ball eating ghost in a maze, but it's simple enough that I think anyone could pick it up despite having a strange.
Another
concept.
great arcade game around the same time that was very like that, I would go, was Marble Madness. 'Cause that's very simple. Marble in a maze.
Oh, yeah,
Just
that
push
was
it
mad.
around.
That was really difficult.
Well, good.
Well, good.
I haven't heard of this. What is
It's those marble
an isometric
games
maze.
where you like
a labyrinth? Where
tilt
you've got to
the,
move the
and
board.
you tilt the board and
Oh,
try and not
okay.
get in the holes. It was that, but electronic.
And you control the ball, not
You were controlling the marble,
board.
yeah. You weren't tilting the board as such. You were just like,
Oh, okay.
but it had this
It was like
momentum, and
it was an isometric view, so it was a lot harder than it needed to be.
the marble had momentum, so it was really hard to like judge it
kind of like,
correctly. It was-
"Ooh." But that's in that camp.
yeah,
of,
I think that's very similar style.
I think that kind of that what you're talking about. This, well, I guess it's just user friendly.
Yes,
Is
that's
kind of the
a
term
good
you're
way
going
to put
for. Is still very popular to say. Like Angry Birds is incredibly user friendly.
Yeah, I
but
think-
allows for a lot of depth to it if you want it to do.
If you want to exploit it
Yeah,
enough.
I think
Yeah.
that's an apt comparison. Actually, I'd say that Pac-Man was the Angry Birds of its day. Certainly.
Well,
the
no,
apps
the,
that you
the Angry Birds is the Pac-Man. Angry Birds is the Pac-Man of our day.
Well, you're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I know, but it sounds better.
Oh,
You're only saying it's an apt comparison because you hate
Wait,
both.
so Angry Birds is the
necessarily.
Pac-Man of the Angry Birds is the Pac-Man of the 80s. Is that what we're saying? I'm
No.
confused now.
Angry
Angry
Birds
Birds
is
is the Pac-Man of our day.
Gotcha. Go around the way the
In
time.
terms of its
Pac-Man-
accessibility and popularity.
Pac-Man and Angry Birds are the same game, both of which were released in the 80s.
That's a good way to say it. Is user friendliness. I think
Well, it's the
Pac-Man
right way, yeah.
basically
Yeah.
tops the list. Yeah, I went on a long route around explaining that.
Semi-interactive.
So you, so James, you're not. So is that your kind of thing that you're not really a fan of user-friendly games because they don't offer enough depth
No,
for
I
you to
love
enjoy
user-friendly
it? Because
games.
you don't
I think-
you don't need them to be user-friendly.
No, user-friendly games, I mean, that's one of the most important qualities if you're trying to reach a large audience, which I think is a very commendable thing. I just don't like Pac-Man because it feels like a waste of time. The things that are there that are designed to engage your mind, your conscious mind, the moving away from the ghosts, moving towards the pellets. You've basically got two goals, neither of which are interesting. Oh, move away, okay,
Well,
move towards.
Don't forget, a lot of the reason why people were playing this anyway was actually enjoying the fact it was a high score table, which was which
Yeah.
is one of those areas of gaming which we've kind of still got. Kind of Call of Duty tables are quite
Yeah.
important, but generally
it's not as important.
Because
High
they're
scores.
global now, it's a lot less fun because
Yeah.
you're like, well, I don't have 30 days every month to be able to dedicate to playing this, to be
They need
able
to-
to
especially
get
not in
onto the
February.
high
They need to
score
tidy it
table.
up.
You know
Like
what I
if they
mean?
said, "Hey, you're the, like in it's more fun obviously to see because the thing I guess about Pac-Man arcades was they were in your local town,
Exactly.
So it was your
you
local
could be the best
commute,
in
yeah.
the town, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, they probably were like world champions would rock up and get the high score and bugger off again. Your whole
Little-
town's like, whoa,
They
what an
put
idiot.
ass
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
scoreboard.
Little Johnny Carpenter.
Well, there's a great episode of Bob's Burgers
Yeah,
where
I
he
watched
gets the
that
arcade
one.
machine in his kitchen and he said he's really good at it. And a guy across the street comes in and puts his name as Bob Sucks, I think. And then Bob spends the rest of the episode trying to beat him on it, and he like gets like.
I think he
carpal
must have
tunnel
done
syndrome and stuff.
the two top entries as Bob and Sucks
Yeah, he
because
did,
doing one entry as Bob Sucks.
I can't think what he does. I think he
more than
does
3
just put
letters.
Bob Sucks somehow. And
I like that
obviously
he's meant to have carpal tunnel syndrome, but all of his fingers are bent in like different directions. Like that's what happens with carpal tunnel syndrome.
But yeah, that must have been a big impact having high scores, and also the fact that because it was obviously RAM and stuff, they could just actually store it. You turn it off and turn it back on again. Holy crap, the high score
Yeah.
is still there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like imagine that.
Did
as a
it stay
kid.
there if you turned it off at the mains?
I think it did, if
Yeah,
I
it
remember,
did,
because
it
it was
did. I
stored
remembered it.
it was stored on RAM. So it was a big deal. And I mean, there were games before that had high score tables, but back in the day, the arcade, this is why people play it. I remember I had a high score on Street Fighter 2 in a little town in Wales called Newquay, and I was like well proud. Down in Portsmouth as well.
Newquay's in Cornwall.
No, there's a Newquay in Wales spelled like a little bit differently.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, pretty
and
bad there, Jack.
down in Portsmouth, in the arcade, you know the one with the crocodiles. There's 5 of them. They pop out the hole and you have to hit them with a hammer. Mm-hmm. High score right here. Got it.
When?
Oh, it's a couple of years ago. Let's go back and see if I'm still
someone's
there.
beating it.
I couldn't even put my name on it, but the number's there. I mean, it's definitely my number. 126. Those crocodiles didn't know what was coming. Got them all. Got all of them. I was like, take that crocodile.
Jack was
Jack
coming.
and his giant club.
But there is still something about high scores, and I'm trying to think what the modern day equivalent is to the high score table on Pac-Man. But I guess
Well, it's the high score table
well,
in
there are-
arcades.
Yeah.
No, I think
or any
it's,
other game
we
that
don't
has high
have-
score.
like what do we have now that kind of
Well,
keeps you
there are leaderboards that are restricted to just your friends and stuff. Like
Yeah.
Forza Horizon had like speed traps in little sections that would record your time and then compare it to your friends' times and stuff.
Trials does it fantastically
Yeah.
because if I remember, you don't see a ghost, but you see kind of like a marker going along the level with you, showing you where your friend was, and you can kind of work out where they were failing and how they did it, and that's great because I love all that stuff, and I think that was why obviously Pac-Man had a big attraction because it was very user friendly, had that level of depth with the AI, the ghost, even though people disagree with me, and also the fact that
competitive.
then if you did well at it, you got put on a high school
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Really, it had everything.
It was the game. I don't know why they kept making games after.
was the
They should have
complete
just stopped
package.
Yeah,
and
they
gone,
peaked.
We're done. We don't need to make any more games.
Still, IGN gave it 7, idiots.
7? Out of what? 7?
They didn't. Did they?
No, that was just a joke
They
about.
even existed.
That was just a joke about video game journalism.
I'd love
Because people always get mad at a certain publication for giving a certain score to a certain game.
Someone should go back and pretend like they're modern day newspaper, like Eurogamer and IGN and GameSpot, those, but review classic arcade games in,
Must have been
in
done.
the tone of
It must have
them
been
now.
done.
It's been done.
Because GameSpot would be like, oh, Namco gave us like 50 grand, and then we gave it 9 out of 10 or something like that.
Full Namco advertising while they run the review.
Just around the board, just Pac-Man going waka waka waka.
One of our
waka.
editors gave it a 7, but we fired him. It's a 9 now.
Like a pop-up advert, just waka 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 waka, and that's it. And you've got to listen to it for 8 seconds. Pac-Man. That's it.
That was
You should have been a-
Sega.
Sega.
You should have been an advertising executive, Jack.
I tell you what, Namco. How long have Namco been riding on Pac-Man and Ridge Racer? Just
Well-
Ridge Racer
Well,
and
when
Pac-Man.
did Pac-Man come out? 1980?
1980?
33 years.
Since 1980.
Ask me another
I
one.
believe.
Okay, very okay.
No, because I'm pretty sure
What's
Namco have had
74?
loads of other really
74,
successful.
Name
Times
them.
9.
Well, yeah, they've had a few.
I'm pretty sure Tekken was
Tekken,
Namco.
Tekken was Namco, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ridge Racer was Namco. Ridge Racer.
Wait, aren't all the who are all the modern fighting games anyway? Is that Namco?
Yeah, what, like... Oh, God. Isn't that...
Like Marvel versus Capcom? No, that's Capcom. I'm thinking of Capcom. Namco made Tekken, I think.
Yeah,
And they
Oh,
made-
yeah,
Who
that's
makes
true.
Virtua Fighter?
Yeah, that's Namco
You're right.
as well.
You're right. They did because obviously
Or is that Sega?
the loading screens for a lot of their games will have
loading
a classic
games.
arcade game,
Yeah.
which they actually
Have a
like
patent
they
on.
patented. Yeah, so people
Bastards.
gotta
That
do
is
that.
such that would be such a great thing to have in almost any game, like a little interactive loading sequence, but you can't because they control it.
Well, no, some games now, I don't know how they get around it. Maybe they just hope they don't.
Some have it.
But like some games will have, say, a practice area while it's loading, like in
Oh, yeah.
FIFA.
Bayonetta,
yeah, and
where you can practice fighting.
Yeah, and like
Assassin's
Assassin's Creed
kind
has
of,
the
yeah.
little
Yeah.
interactive bit.
So I don't know how they get around that. Maybe it's not a full-fledged
Well, I
game.
know in
so-
like a couple of the Mario games, I think Smash Brothers, you can kind of like during the credits, you can shoot things.
Oh, that
and
was-
shoot
oh,
players
yeah.
and stuff
Oh,
like
in all
that.
the Mario games
But that doesn't
now, in
count
the
as a
credits, you can
loading
shoot
screen.
You
things.
can do things, yeah. In Mario Galaxy, I think you could collect stars during the credits. If I remember, like you could pick them up while the credits are
Yeah, I
going. or
think
something
Yeah,
like
but
that.
you could do that with the second player remote.
Yeah. But,
Pick up the star bits, yeah.
do you want to hear some trivia?
Yes,
Always.
Not much actually, because Pac-Man's he's he gets around a bit, but
Hey.
it is the highest grossing video game of all time.
How much did it make?
2.5 billion by
Oh,
the
that's quite good.
90s.
is that including merchandise?
By
you
the
know?
90s.
By
So
the
it's just in
90s.
10 years, and
Yep,
that's
in the first
80s
10 years,
money.
2.5 billion.
And that's
Do-
80s money. That is huge.
Well,
And
that might have
obviously-
been adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, it's been adjusted for
Oh, it
inflation.
has
I
been?
think.
Oh, okay.
And
Do you know that
just-
includes merchandising and stuff?
I would
to.
I
It
would
can't.
assume yes. Well, to be honest,
The amount
actually,
of merchandising
okay.
that
Let me
there is
just
now.
read out a direct quote from Wikipedia,
Okay,
which
yeah.
is reliable. Having generated more than 2.5 billion in quarters by the 1990s.
Oh, quarters.
So I'm
Oh,
guessing.
wow.
Yeah,
Well,
that's actually
there's a
great.
famous story of when I think it's the two developers of maybe it wasn't Pac-Man actually, maybe I'm saying it's Pong, but I know that when they would install arcades quite often, they'd be like they called it like the paint bucket of where the coins would drop into and be stored, and they
Oh,
always
this
had
is Pong, it's on
they
the Charlie
had
Brooker program.
yeah, they was overflowing within the first
Yeah.
like 20 minutes, which
Did-
normally would take months to do that.
This is a question that I haven't really thought about. Did a company like Namco get any of those quarters, or did they just get the money for the machine and then the
Oh,
I
quarters?
imagine they sold
I
the machine
think-
to
yeah.
the arcade owners.
So that's the
arcade, No,
difference.
the arcade owners would buy the machine, and I guess they would have to pay them a certain amount of royalties.
I would
think
think
Or do you
And
think
they-
this is a one-off
I reckon.
payment?
I reckon they'd have to pay them a
How would
percentage
they be
of
able
the
to?
game's
How would
taking.
they be able to prove what the takings were, though?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would have thought they just pay for the machine. It'd be like a really high upfront cost.
I would
think
But
wonder.
then maybe they rent the
Yeah, I
machine.
think
That's what I was
Rent them.
thinking as well.
Maybe
So
they
they
rent it.
so they might not have seen any of that 2.5 billion. So it's hard to compare that to something like
Well,
GTA 5 making so.
I mean, saying that, my next
Does
bit
Rockstar
trivia
get?
was the character has appeared in more than 30 official licensed game spin-offs.
Yeah.
So 30 games.
Like,
Pac-Man's
the
got.
modern games are really well liked,
And
even though they
considering-
stick with the same formula.
And considering, considering his origins, he was as a yellow circle with a slice missing, which apparently was based on a very sexist comment that the lead developer said he wanted to make the game attracted to women to play, and he said, "What do women like? Food." So he
Oh,
based
yeah.
it on a pizza slice with the slice of pizza missing, which is a bit of like a.
And it's eating.
I wish
yeah.
he'd never said that, which is not very good. But
Well, women do like food, Jack. As do men.
according to the Davy Brown Index, which I don't know what that actually is, but I'm saying it's something very official, Pac-Man has the highest brand awareness of any video game character among American consumers. Recognised, how they got this stat, recognised by 94% on a poll they took. So the most recognised, more than
Mario.
Mario.
I'd imagine they took a poll.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. I guess they asked 94 people, or is it a percent?
More than Mario.
Oh yeah, the most recognised video game character, as in more than any
Interesting.
character. And I remember reading a study that Mario is more recognised than Mickey Mouse, so that must mean that Pac-Man
Oh,
must
yeah.
be pretty high up there.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, really, because I guess he is that. I mean,
Because he was one of the first famous characters in video games, like you said earlier.
the next kid I see who's like 6 years old, I'm going to ask him, does he know who Pac-Man is? See what his answer is.
He must do.
Of
don't
course
know.
they will know.
Just depends on the kid. I have to
Of course
ask.
they will.
mate?
I don't know, but would you think? I don't know.
What 6-year-olds do you know?
He's been smoking heavily.
He lives in London.
I would have honestly
Smog.
thought that like Pikachu would be more recognisable to kids than Pac-Man, but I don't know.
No,
No.
they're not so into Pokemon anymore.
Really?
Losers.
Really?
Yeah.
No, come on.
A few of them,
Pokemon.
but not like when we were younger.
Yeah, I don't know actually. I think Pokemon's audience has shifted
now.
now. Because they were sort of, when Pokemon was released, they were kids, and now they've grown up. They're kind of like the Sans age. And the kids that are, I was going to say released now, the kids that are like, growing up now, it's kind of Pokemon's an old thing. It's not really like
Yeah.
brand new like
I
it
mean,
was.
some of them still
like
play
you.
the games and stuff, but the TV show isn't really on anywhere anymore.
They genuinely do
it's
not feel
not
like they
being
have to catch
marketed
them all.
anymore. Yeah, they don't get it.
Sounds like a reboot, like a ninja reboot, like
It's not
Speaking
like,
of which,
like
just,
the
just,
Turtles.
just a little
It's not on the
update.
iPad, that's why.
I've got over half of all the Pokemon now.
That's a
I'm
lot
getting
of
there.
Pokemon.
Locked up in little balls where they can't breathe.
Yep,
Yep.
you know.
Stored in a computer, even.
If only, if you
Anyway.
if only you could do something like that in real life, like I don't know, like dog fighting, you'd be brilliant at it. You'd have all the dogs, all the breeds of dogs in cages ready to
No.
fight.
What are you
That's
talking
cruel.
about?
That's what Pokemon is. You're just training
fighting.
animals to fight.
Let's not get back into the ethics of Pokemon.
Yeah, let's talk about Pac-Man eating ghosts. Those poor ghosts.
Basically
Yes.
dogfighting.
It is.
More trivia.
I think I'm all out.
You
to be
better
honest.
have more, Jack.
Well, that's
No,
the thing.
that's
I
all
did.
good
I
stuff,
did
that's all
have
good
some
stuff.
stuff that the ghosts have three mutually exclusive modes of behaviour, which is called chase, scatter, and frighten. So chase, objective is to chase mode to find Pac-Man and capture him. Blinky red is very aggressive and hard to shake off once he gets behind you. Pinky tends to get in front of you and cut you off. Inky is the least predictable of the bunch and most random, and Clyde seems to do his own thing and stay out of the way of you, which is bizarre. So he actually trying to avoid. But then that's about the fourth different place I read on a website of the behaviour patterns. So people are still studying them, James. They can't work out what the ghosts are doing. They're that
Wow.
crazy.
That must mean
Can't
it's
they just
good.
look at the
They're
code?
self-aware. I
They've
don't
definitely
know.
worked out what they're doing, don't
And then they have also got scatter mode, which is where the ghosts give up the chase for a few seconds and they just run off. And then have frightened, which is when they've obviously been scared and they run away. But one interesting thing I did learn about, they all agreed on, is that the ghosts never go backwards. They can only ever go in one direction, except when they become scared, and that's when they go backwards.
Yeah.
So
And
they can go back.
Interestingly, no, they only go back once, and that's when they get scared. They immediately go the opposite way when they're frightened. And interestingly, if they get to like an exit with only, so if they approach an exit with with two exits, like a fork in a road, the direction they were coming into it, whether they're going like left or right, that's the direction they will progress out of it as well. Apparently.
So if they
Now,
turn right,
there
they
are-
will then turn right
I've
again.
got all this from like a big study this dude did on Pac-Man, and there are probably Pac-Man experts listening, maybe, who are probably screaming at me going, "No, that's not true. That's not true. I've seen the ghosts that go around on their own." But I don't know. Fascinating. I think they should do a hardcore mode where there's like 8 ghosts running around. So
Like in pinball, where there's more
Oh,
than one ball.
someone's hacked that somewhere.
Multi-ghost. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's probably like
Multi-ghost.
multi-ghost.
8 times more damage. No,
Yeah.
no extra lives.
And don't forget, there was that awesome little feature in Pac-Man. I always forget that in the middle there's that little column that you can go down the left side and come on the right side of the screen, which must have blown people's minds. Which I like in arcades must have been like, what? He's just gone off the left side, come on the right side. And that is sadly all the trivia I have. So trivia closed.
all right.
And we get into
Nice.
the retrograde part of the show, which Lazanne, you chose this. So what are we going to do?
Yes.
I don't know why I just went Lazanne for some reason.
Oh, you're choosing the axe.
Axe.
Oh, rubbish. I have 2 options. I think I'm going to go with fruit.
Oh.
If Pac-Man was a piece of fruit, what piece of fruit would it be and why?
Passion fruit, 'cause it's bitter.
Is passion fruit
Okay.
bitter?
It's so bitter.
Yeah.
But it also makes it seem like you're passionate about it,
Breakfast
which
food.
you're not. You're
He's
passionately
bitterly
against it.
passionate
That's
about
just the
it.
name. Passion fruit sucks.
He's passionate about being bitter
It's
about
round,
it.
bitter, and people eat it for breakfast, which is the worst meal of the day.
Wait, are you not thinking of a grapefruit? People
Am
eat
I?
grapefruits for breakfast.
Wait, what's the difference between a passion fruit and a grapefruit? Listen,
Passion fruits, you don't actually eat the fruit. You just get the seeds out and cook with the seeds.
I don't get around.
You don't actually
fruit
eat it
much.
raw.
Maybe
Grapefruit
I mean-
is the big white bitter
Oh
thing.
no, I mean a grapefruit.
Yeah, you mean right? Okay, you mean a grapefruit, not a passion fruit.
That's not even passionate.
Wait, what's that one where you like poke the seeds with the pin?
Pomegranate.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
pomegranate.
not.
See, I
Yeah.
do know some things.
Yeah.
Yeah, grapefruit 'cause it sucks. Bitter.
Okay,
horrible.
I'm
Overrated.
going to give Pac-Man an apple because it's very accessible. It's universally acclaimed as the go-to fruit, just as Pac-Man would be the go-to game.
Slightly misshapen.
Slightly, shut up.
Not that round.
Yeah. And if you eat an apple a day, it keeps the doctor away.
What if you
Kind of
said-
like how you keep the ghosts away in Pac-Man. There you go.
When you eat a power pill.
Yeah. True story. When I was younger, and you know when your teeth start falling out because your adult ones start coming through, not because you have a bad diet. But
so that's what that
My
was.
first one, my first tooth went wobbly, and I was really freaked out. And Mum said, "Right, eat an apple." Ate an apple. She said, "Right, your tooth's gone. Where is it?" And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "You must have eaten it." And I'd eaten my tooth by accident, and I was really upset because I thought the tooth fairy wouldn't come, but she still did. So true story.
Yeah, somehow she knew.
Fascinating, I know.
You look up
ate
a
my first
scar on
tooth.
your stomach. She was like, "Where's that tooth?"
Where's that coin?
I ate my first tooth. So,
She's very
yeah.
persistent, that tooth fairy.
Because of an apple. But that's not why I'm rating Pac-Man as an apple. But yeah. Right. Anthony or Jack?
Have you got one, Jack?
I've got one.
Okay, you go ahead.
Well, I'll go for the classic cherries. And
I should have gone first.
I was trying to think of a fruit, and it's sad you didn't say vegetables because I would have said potato because it's easy to eat and it's a classic.
Why would I say that? There's no vegetables
Doesn't
in Pac-Man.
matter.
There's fruit in Pac-Man.
But I would go for cherry because it's still kind of like it's incredibly sweet. It's a classic. Everyone likes cherry. I mean, cherries are great. You know,
Yeah.
mix it with alcohol and it's great, just like Pac-Man.
Some cherries are sour.
We got stones
Yeah.
in the middle.
I was going to say they're very easy. They're obvious to eat. Like you see a cherry, you're like, I know what I'm doing here. I'm eating it.
Yeah, but you gotta
know what I mean?
you gotta suck it off the stone.
No, but it's not like a pineapple.
Jack, if you eat a cherry whole, you're just gonna choke to death on the stone. Like-
yeah.
A cherry has
Cherry's
got
Yeah.
not.
stone.
Cherry's not at the
Cherries
top of
have
the
stones
simple
in
fruit
them.
Are you
list.
kidding me? Cherries have stones in them. Yes.
I mean, maybe I should.
Fresh cherries.
Let's do-
Cherries out of a can have been de-stoned.
Let me do grapes then. Grapes.
Okay.
Because you can eat them. Although some countries it's
They are
frowned
like
upon.
sweets.
Some countries it's frowned upon to eat the skin on grapes, isn't it?
Is it?
What?
Yeah, no.
Who peels their
in-
grapes?
I think
Ancient
it's
Rome.
Japan.
Yeah.
No, seriously, in Japan it's frowned upon to eat the skin of grapes. If you're just eating grapes whole, they'd be like, "Oh, what are you
you're
doing?
the
You're meant to like
emperor,
suck
maybe.
them out a bit." But anyway,
You're into like what? Suck 'em out.
grapes because they're like it's a luxury. You give it to someone when they're ill, just like I give Pac-Man to someone ill to cheer them up.
You give grapes to people when they're ill.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's the
don't-
stereotype
don't-
when you visit someone
Everything I
hospital
say,
is to
are
give
you
them
sure about
grapes.
that, Joe? No, yes.
You know grapes have stones in them, right?
Only seeded ones.
They're
He's talking
luxury.
about seedless ones.
Classics. Everyone likes them. Grapes are always good. Juicy. And yeah, like you could eat like Pac-Man's not like, as I was gonna say, it's not a pineapple. You don't have to work out how the hell am I gonna eat this thing. You look at grapes and go, I can eat this.
So here comes the true test. The true test of your character, Jack.
Oh God.
Red grapes or green grapes?
They're called white
Well,
grapes, not
Well, they're
grapes.
green, aren't they? So
I'm
No,
gonna
but they're
go.
white.
I'm
They're
gonna go
green.
for
If you look
like.
at them, they're green.
I'm gonna go for green grapes because red,
He knows.
red grapes are a little
that's
bit.
Jack, he knows
Red grapes
nothing.
are a little bit out there. Like if I was in a hospital, and someone
Yeah.
brought me red grapes, I'd go. Ooh.
I agree with you.
You know what I
Jack,
mean?
Yeah.
Like someone brought me minstrels. I'd be like, why do you bring minstrels? Bring Smarties. What's wrong with you? I'm not that
Oh,
fancy.
but minstrels are better than Smarties. So the
Yeah,
but they're more
analogy falls
luxurious.
apart a little bit there. But
Fun fact: all wine is made from red grapes.
yeah.
white wine. What?
Yeah, even
Yeah.
white
It's
wine.
kind of implied, isn't it?
They just take the skins out really early on in the winemaking process so that it doesn't become white, and that's how you get blushes and rosés is with the
Yeah.
skins taken out at different
What
stages of
happens-
fermentation.
What
I
happens if you
learned-
try and make wine with green grapes?
It doesn't work.
You get
The
apple.
sugars and
like
enzymes aren't
cider.
right.
Oh.
I
Don't get science.
I learned that from the film Sideways.
Oh,
It's true. All my knowledge of drinking
Anthony,
wine.
your
Sorry,
piece
go on,
of
Anthony.
fruit.
I think I'm going to go for the pomelo.
The what?
But it's only because
Google it.
it's only
Check he's
because
not making
everyone
fruit.
knows what Pac-Man is and no one knows what a pomelo is.
That's subversive. Wow.
So I'm sort of doing a
Very
parallel there.
existentialist.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for the pomelo just because it mirrors. Well, no, it's not even a mirror, is it? 'Cause no.
It's the opposite.
It's like a polar.
Opposite
Yeah.
land.
It's like a polar opposite.
it throws into sharp relief how well people know
Stark
Pac-Man.
contrast.
Yeah.
Have you just made up a fruit now?
No, I found one in Dubai once. I was like, what the hell is a
Oh,
pomelo?
show off.
I looked it up
Wait, how many times have you been to Dubai?
once.
Just the way you said it made it sound like you've been to Dubai many times. Oh yeah, so this one time I was in Dubai. But this
Yeah.
other time I was in Dubai.
I was there the one time.
You know what I mean?
Did
So it's a very accurate way to describe
carry
it.
on.
Have you had
Pomelo.
Have you consumed one?
No, I was planning to, and we never went back and got one. It's it's the largest citrus. It's got a very thick rind,
Oh, okay.
but
Whoa.
the meat, no, the flesh is actually quite sweet. Apparently, it's similar to it's like a very large grapefruit
Oh.
And that's like Pac-Man. Why?
Oh, dear.
because it's not very well known, whereas Pac-Man's very well known. So it's sort of throwing into
You're
sharp
saying
relief.
it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Also, if it tastes like grapefruit, then it's bitter.
Yeah.
Which,
No, I think it's sweeter than
Well,
grapefruit. I'm
sour.
not
You
sure.
mean the sour?
I mean, bitter is what I mean, the sun, alright?
Maybe that's
James
the
is
salt from your
bitter.
tears.
Tell me my
James is
business.
describing himself.
Anthony!
Anthony.
I'll see if I can get some palm olives. What are they called?
Palmer violets.
What are they?
Pomelo. It's
Pomelo. I
Pomelo.
will see if I can get some for the next show, and we'll have them for the.
I think it'd be quite hard to find.
Well, apparently they're native to Dubai, so like, good luck with
No, they're native to like the
Shipped in?
countries nearby, like I think India and stuff. So
Get,
finding
get
one here-
Amazon. Get a drone to fly over for me. Long distance.
Yeah, that's
Stocking
not
up for
gonna work.
petrol. This little
Yeah,
drone at the
Amazon.
I'm
petrol
sorry,
station.
Amazon, this
Yeah.
drone idea, this is never going to work.
These palm olives are heavy.
Not Palmer.
But
Well, there you go, Pac-Man. That was a good show. Yeah, so thank you for listening. Don't forget to write a review for us on iTunes, where you will get, at the moment, for a limited time only, obviously, because it's Christmas.
Before Christmas, yeah.
card. Yeah, if you do it on the 26th, no Christmas card for you.
still get a badge though
You still
after the
will get a
26th.
Still get a badge, though. So always just be writing us iTunes reviews, because
I don't know.
it's just so much fun.
Would you rather get a badge or a card? I'm
Badge.
They
Get
get both at the moment.
Well, they get both at the
That's
moment. They
good.
don't need to decide. They get both.
I don't have a card.
Yeah, limited time offer. You know, put it on
Badges
the
are
mantelpiece. People will be jealous. They'll go, "Who are these 4 people?" You know, or just some famous people. You know, and all that.
They're my
That is
friends, Mom.
twice. That is twice this episode you have kissed your teeth. Is this a new thing you've developed because you've moved?
Yeah, I'm more street.
I don't
now.
like it.
I'm
You're
lower
more
to-
street.
I'm
Closer
lower.
to the
I'm
green.
closer to the floor, so I'm more
Technically,
street.
you're on more street.
The higher I get, the higher I am, the classier I am.
He's less dense and more brat.
Yeah, well, you know, more leap, but whatever. Oh, leap. I'm going to say ream.
Jesus,
I'm going to say
leap.
ream. That's what the kids are saying.
Oh, God.
Yes, the show notes for this episode can be found at cycon.net/R40s, you want to remember. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, where you can retweet our competition tweets, opportunity to win Limbo and
Bastion.
Bastion, yeah.
Bastion, sorry, I almost said Braid there. Not Braid, Limbo and Bastion.
Limbo and Bastion, yeah. At Very Much
you
Right
could be the
Games
next-
this
you could be
time.
the next Paul Monaghan.
Yes.
And yeah, and we're going to be back in, well, I haven't actually agreed when we'll be doing the next episode, but it's our Christmas special, so make sure you fill in that survey where you can win it. And there's a lot of things they've got to remember to do at the end of this episode.
I know, there's a lot
They're
of
sitting there
things
going,
you need
right,
to do to
I've got to
be
write an
listener of
iTunes
Retrograde.
review, got to write an iTunes review,
Write an
follow them on
iTunes review,
Twitter,
got to follow on Twitter,
retweet
got to
them.
retweet.
Fill it- I mean, it's hard work being a Retrograde
Fill in the
listener, isn't it?
form.
But yeah, fill out the survey if
Christmas
you want
survey.
to
Well, it's fun.
take
It's-
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're in for a chance of winning that voucher, Amazon voucher.
Amazon voucher, yeah.
Pretty
10
good chance, actually, because, like, what, 2 or 3 people are likely to
Yeah, oh yeah,
fill out
good,
the
yeah, good.
forms.
I mean, I would enter it. That's all right.
3 of us are. We're just using fake names, Jack.
No, yeah, no, you're right though. In all seriousness,
Do that.
Jack Fan 76 is actually me.
Jack Fan 76.
Jack Fan 75 is not me. We all call ourselves Jack,
Jack Fan
the number.
77, on the other hand.
oh, clever. But yes, make sure you fill in that survey, because you've got a good chance of winning an Amazon voucher. And yes, we'll see you in 2 weeks for the Christmas special. Woo, 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 which are always great. Our second year in a row doing that's gonna be great.
Yep.
Yeah, and you should feel excited about that one, because we're going to be discussing modern games.
Well, the last generation, which could technically
Yeah.
be retro now,
Not really.
but whatever. But yes, that's goodbye from me, Jack Marshall. Goodbye from Anthony Hobday.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from Zan Fisher.
Bye.
And goodbye from James Wilvedian.
Listen, I don't even actually feel that strongly about Pac-Man, you know? I don't,